Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rise of Master. Now, when was the last time you ever heard Hogue do that first thing in the morning, eh? I don't know sometimes I don't know how old I am. Anyway. Good morning, everyone, or no one. I have no idea. I don't have the YouTube page up here, so I'm not quite sure if there's anyone even watching this. But I do see we have a couple people in the hangout here. I see Joshy, and I see Jeremy, and I see Nick, and I see Meg. Hey, Meg. Oh, geez, I heard they've got 150,000 new people coming to Calgary this year. So, oh boy, I don't know what it is, but the people who are in charge of this country are just opening up the floodgates to new people, and nobody's coming to Vancouver anymore. That's for sure. I look at the price tag of this place and I go, "Gee whiz, what the heck? I'm not living here." Anyway, all right, so probably should do a little bit better job. I know a lot of people have been saying, you know, Brian, you would do great if you just had a little bit of organization in your life. But anyway, a little bit of ad lib. Okay, so it is a couple of minutes past the top of the hour. It's Monday morning, 24th of April. You know, as I suppose that you Americans, tax deadline's already come and gone. Us Canadians, tax deadline is the end of this week, and I know our Canadian accountant is running around like a chicken without a head right now, so she's trying as best as she can. I wish her luck because my fate is in her hands, obviously. And at the same time, too, actually, we have a workers' strike going on, and this is actually exactly what's supposed to happen. You know, it used to be the whole inflation picture was cost push and then demand pull. Then, of course, they went and securitized the housing industry, which really sucks horse cocks. But now we have this whole housing inflation problem as well thrown in the mix. But if anything, probably over the next 5-10 years, you are constantly going to hear about workers demanding higher wages to be able to pay for all this banker fueled hyperinflation that we have to live through. Terrible. But anyway, welcome to capitalism in the 21st century. Hello. Hey, there's some people over on YouTube. Nice to see you guys. So I'll try my best to do this in about half an hour or so, then we'll pop on over to the after party show and then maybe look at some fun things we like to look at the beginning of the week, things like dashboard. Big shout out to Sjord. He fixed the screener issues, so now at least I can comment on what looks interesting technically from my perspective off of the screeners. And also too, I did notice that market is coming off of chunk here. This is a little bit of a funny window here right now as we're getting close to the end of April. You know what we're supposed to do in May. Everybody knows what's supposed to happen to the price of Bitcoin through my birthday. And really, we probably shouldn't expect any serious sort of bottom in the market until probably, I don't know, late June. Usually that's when pivots come in. I will say though, and actually I was working on it over the weekend. They even put tweets and stuff out about it because I was so enamored with my work. But the question is, where the hell did I put it? Oh, it might take a while to find it. Maybe I just had it. Did I just have it as just the symbol? If I'm lucky. Oh goodness. Oh, that was a bit amateur. Did actually up a pretty interesting chart on the Dow. Is this it? Yeah. Maybe this is. Didn't you know? Yeah. Okay. So this was the chart that I drew up over the weekend, and I even tweeted it out. We're at a real interesting crossroads here in the economy. I think everybody and their brother is watching the inflation data like a hawk right now. And of course, the Fed started to get serious about, hey, maybe we shouldn't completely destroy the economy over here. And I think they started raising rates in earnest. Well, just I guess about a year ago now. That inflation problem is abating. Did find it interesting. I think I had pointed out to all of you in social media land. It just pisses me off to no end. And it's such a great analogy of how corrupt this society is. Actually heard people in the know talking about the fact that wheat prices now are basically back at like when did Vladdy do his idiot stupid fuckhead move? That was I guess was it through here? Must have been through there, right? So wheat prices are actually lower than what they were at before his stupidity. And wheat prices actually look like they're trending lower. So I was thinking maybe we had a buy signal potentially coming in here. But I guess the thing that I'm trying to point out here, we never did get that W. If these W's come in, then rock and roll. But we just didn't get the W's. But you go to the grocery store and the grocer, and this is, I mean, it's blatant because these people were even brought in front of government agencies, and of course it's a total charade. They just do it to placate the public. But the politicians all sit there and go, "Hey, why are you gouging the Canadian customers?" And they come back with stupid statements like, well, chicken now is a specialty meat product, and if you want chicken, you're going to have to pay up for it. But, I go to the grocery store over the weekend and they raise the price of bread 10%. I mean, 10%. We lived in a time when there was no inflation for years and years and years. Now, all of a sudden, just over the weekend, they can justify raising a loaf of bread 10%. And they don't even think twice about it. Just brutal. And yet the irony of it all is that they come out to the public and they say, well, it's because of the war in Ukraine. Well, that's a load of horse shit. So it's just yet another illustration of how brutally corrupt this society is. It's just really, it's getting horrible. But anyway, what can you do? I think I've probably ranted about that a bit. But the point of the matter here is, and this is what I was sort of commenting on, this is where I was going with all this, is we're at a bit of a crossroads where if, we've actually said, and I think it was Druckenmiller who originally said it probably about 6-8 months ago, maybe even longer than that this inflation problem won't go away until the Fed funds rates, or whatever the guaranteed rate in the market is, because keep in mind all these Western governments are technically bankrupt right now, so using things like T-bills as a guaranteed rate, there ain't no guarantee in this fugazi bullshit emperors wearing new clothes world. So the banksters themselves are the only guarantee, and they sort of collude on their own in the cartel and all that stuff. But the cartel's guaranteed rate has to be higher than the inflation rate. Now we're at an interesting point here, because you can see inflation. I mean, this is the government quoted statistic. Whether you actually believe it or not, that's another conversation altogether. But you can see sitting basically 5%. And of course, Fed funds sitting at about 4.5%, 5% right now. So this is a really interesting pivot point that we're at in the marketplace here. And frankly speaking, I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to predict what's going to happen here. This could go either way. I mean, this is why we always say trade your setups. Your opinions are kind of useless in this world. The only thing that really matters is trade your setups. And I could make the argument if this thing it's got an M top working, and of course you see where reload zones are. You see fog and bombs. Look how 2.618 was respected. We rallied back up into reload zones, and then she went and M'd out. So, I could respect somebody that said, I'm going to short reload zones, and then my target is reload zones. In fact, I suppose we could probably even put on a red box right up top here. So my apologies if I'm taking too much time going through all this, but I think it's important to acknowledge what the backdrop of the current situation is. What the hell's the damn color bar? We're kind of like sitting right on the seesaw, right at the middle part of the seesaw, and it could literally go either way. And frankly speaking, like I said, I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to predict what's going to happen here. I mean, we might find that inflation ticks back up and the whole damn market rolls over. There are gentlemen like there's a gentleman named Larry Williams who does videos on stockcharts.com. They're behind a paywall, so I don't really like share it. But he's I think he's like 80 years old, longtime market participant, and he has been barking about how he expects that the inflation problem is going to be resolved and that the stock market is going to move higher. And then, of course, we've talked lots about this with Josh and company, that the January barometers and stuff like that are all pointing to a stronger market through the year. So also too, we are now, of course, in I don't know whether it's the millennials or it's the Gen Zs. I'm not quite sure. I think it's millennials. But anyway, we're in your guys' greed cycle. So, we should be expecting upbeat markets anyway. So, you just put it all together. My hunch is actually, believe it or not, that the market actually is going to resolve to the upside. But at the same time, too, this is a tough period, the sort of end of April, beginning of May, and then right through the month of June. So do we take maybe a month or two and, pull back into reload zones and sort of clean all of the excesses of the economy up? Or do we just steamroll our way higher here because the inflation problem's been dealt with? I don't know. I mean, we're at a major, major crossroads here. So, stay tuned, folks. And actually, in the tweet that I put out, you could make the argument that there's both a head and shoulders and an inverted head and shoulders working at exactly the same time here. So, yeah, it's fact. And as a student of the market, this is definitely a moment in time that you should just step back and say, you don't see this every day. This is a very unique situation that we're in right now. So whichever way this does resolve, I think the market moves in that direction for the next probably 6 to 8 weeks or so. My hunch is that the Fed's going to have to continue raising rates. So that should put downside pressure. But at the same time, too, they're politically motivated. We might find the Fed comes out and says, you know what, the politics are so thick right now, maybe we better just cool our jets. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I suppose, sort of backtracking a little bit, every day, of course, want to sort of be the demonstrator of best practices for you guys. Actually, I've got this bum shoulder and I had a pretty tough night last night. So unfortunately today, I had a pretty tough sleep, so I wasn't really bright-eyed, bushy-tailed first thing this morning. But I have to say that Chris is sort of my incentivizer. We really want to get the My Forex Funds combine going, and it would be, I think, a good demonstration for you guys. And just running the crude oil opening range trade. And when I got up this morning, Chris, of course, is like, I'm there, I'm doing it, dude. So where the fuck are you? But he was telling me this was a really interesting one this morning because in the first minute of trade, the market just jumped down, but then absolutely stopped. and then just slowly worked its way back up, broke up through the top of that first minute of trade, and then literally did not look back the entire morning. So congrats to Chris, and really this is what we're going to do to get him funded over that My Forex funds site. We're just right now playing with how do you connect TradingView and the MT4 platform so we can trade through TradingView with My Forex funds. We're still trying to figure that out. But anyway, sort of an update what happened first thing this morning. And I'd like to get into the habit of just reporting how that opening range trade went. But there's a very good example of a futures trader's trade where, this trade, in fact, I think it's actually still working. I was contemplating shorts against the top as sort of as just paper trade. I don't really like to trade real money on Mondays anyway, but I think actually, where's that crude? There it is. So you can see the jump up. I don't know whether that's a daily chart, beg your pardon. Yeah, there we are. So there is his opening range trade. And interestingly enough, if you sold one at 2-to-1, let's say you bought 2 contracts, you had your stop at scratch. Scratch is all the way down here on the remaining contracts. It'd still be long that runner. There was an interesting little top that came in, and actually I did this as a demonstration for you guys yesterday. In this particular case, move stop to scratch level at 50% of the anticipated move, and boom, it was stopped out at scratch on this counter trend rally. So, and that was a lot of fun yesterday, I'll tell you, that high grade copper. And it turns out the high grade copper actually did go to that 2.618. I was watching the rest of the price action afterward, and it actually did go to that 2.618 level. But anyway, interesting setup there in the crude oil for the opening range trade this morning. Me looking, demonstrator of best practices, all that kind of fun conversation. The path that I like to follow for my day trading, and it's just, everybody's got to figure out their own sort of bent in this. If people ask me, what would you suggest? I mean, there is the opening range trade. That's a very unique setup. What I like to do is I like to study the 4-hour charts and look for trade location, kind of like what I was doing there with the copper there yesterday on that free video. And I didn't see anything here this morning that painted trade location. And also too, it's Monday. So, what I like to do for trade location is just simply ask, are we at moving average levels? Are we at ATR levels? Are we at Foggenbaum levels? Are we at fib levels? Are we at horizontal support and resistance levels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see this morning, we're not really anywhere in particular. I might even throw on a horizontal support and resistance level here. Just go something like that. So you can see ATR level at this horizontal support and resistance. You can also see that it's also a M top breakdown level here. And I might entertain something there. Here, no, we're just sort of floating out in no man's land. So really nothing to do on the crude. Gold, same sort of idea. You can see where I have my horizontal support levels down below against the 200 SMA. Notice that the ATR is all the way down against this horizontal support and resistance level. So anytime we're sort of floating right around settlement, there's nothing really for me to do. And same thing with the stock market. You can see I'd be very interested in taking a long down against these levels. I'd be very interested in taking a short up against these levels. Maybe a nice little FU move against the highs. But right against settlement, no, nothing really for me to do. So no setup hunting for Brian today in the futures market. And also too, as I said, it's Monday. I don't really like to push a heck of a lot on Mondays. Mondays and Fridays are kind of Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I think the statistics is something like 70 to 80% of all trends that are established through the week happen through the Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zones. So if you're going to look for, it is interesting that we demonstrated swing trading yesterday on that copper trade. If you're going to look for those kind of swing trades, in the direction of the market for the remainder of the week, hunting Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zones is usually pretty good. Talking talking a little bit about econs and news this morning. We have a whole bunch of corporate earnings coming out this week, and it was interesting to see that Mr. Musk, I don't know whether he's front running the trade. I'm not even quite sure how you would describe it. Where the hell did I have that damn window? Oh, that's funny. I thought I had it. Maybe it's here. Yeah. NASDAQ's getting kind of punched out here. Dow's off 1/8%. It's not even really that much. And so put it all together, S&Ps are down about 1/4%. And who's the victims? Mr. Musk came out and he's been aggressively repricing the Tesla cars. I get the impression that a lot of these Western government sort of tax breaks. I mean, it's remarkable how many Teslas are on the car here in the lower mainland. But the irony of it all is that the BC government, I mean, we can't even afford to hire doctors here. We're supposed to be socialized medicine. And yet the waiting list to see a doctor now, like an actual like family doctor, get yourself a family doctor, it's 1 year. I mean, how pathetic is that? But hey, we'll give all the tax breaks in the world to all these immigrants that come and buy these inflated houses and buy Tesla cars here and get a huge tax break. Is this really helping our society here? It's so twisted, the economics of our society right now in this country. So tons of these cars on the road, but the only reason, of course, is because there's just massive tax breaks for people to buy these damn things. I think those are going the way of the dodo. And also, too, I'm hearing that like Mercedes and stuff are coming out with their version of electric cars. And so I think Mr. Musk is kind of wants to try and front run that trend. And so as a result, he's doing some major sort of price adjustments. So revenue is ramping up, but the profit margins are falling. So as a result, the Tesla stock's getting punched out. I might argue that this is an old story. You don't invest in a company that's worth billions of dollars for growth. If anything, you want to, ideally, and everybody, who takes the education program, you all know how this game works. Ideally, we'd like to find stocks with like 20, 30 million shares out. I mean, you tell me, 3 billion shares out at $160 a share or a market cap of $500 billion. I mean, is it realistic to expect a 10x on that thing? I don't think so. So I would call this yesterday's story. This isn't, interestingly enough, you can actually look at the price chart. That to me, and actually I'd be curious. There's a few people watching this video. What kind of trade setup that the Beamish loves to trade? In fact, I was funded as a prop trader trading this setup. What kind of setup does that look like? Give you a hint. A to B, C to D. Somewhere down in here. Thank you, Nure. You're awesome. Hugs and kisses. So he's going to go bench press the entire state of Germany this afternoon. So, I mean, any way you look at it, that they, what's the definition of a downtrend? Right? Lower highs and lower lows. Well, there's a big fat M. So anyway. So I think that's driving the indexes quite a bit here today. As well, too, we have a whole bunch of these tech companies that are supposed to be coming out with earnings. So we'll see how that goes. But the scuttlebutt here is a heavy week of earnings. Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Visa, Boeing, Master, blah, 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 blah. So I can understand, given the backdrop, rising interest rates. I'm hearing a lot of companies. Also, too, I think it was in here somewhere. We saw that they're blaming interest rate increases for why the profit margins are being squeezed right now. So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario, right? It's interesting how they go. Chicago Fed Index points to steady economic growth, and yet that came in as a negative number. What? So you can clearly see how somebody has been told to spin this as positively as you can. I thought that was a bit of a surprise. But it just goes to show, how corrupt these sort of talking heads news agencies are. I have a feeling somebody was told to spin that in the most favorable light as possible. There's your Chicago Fed National Activity Index minus 0.19. And I guess what they're kind of thinking is that this is steady as she goes. I wouldn't say that that's something to be excited about. If anything, this economy almost looks like it's just flatlining. Somebody get one of those EKG. No, what are those things called where they got the paddles? And anyway, there's a name for it. I think it's called like a defibrillator or something like that. Anyway. So I'm not really seeing a heck of a lot econ wise. It is interesting to see, we talked about how they're securitizing the housing industry. And a crazy Canadian market. They just keep bringing more and more immigrants in. Like I said, I saw the headline today that Calgary, and I thought of Meg when I thought of that, is that they're anticipating another 150,000 new immigrants piling into the city. I wonder if they're ready for Calgary winters, especially coming from like countries like Sudan and Syria and stuff like that. Have they ever seen the temperature go down to like minus 50 degrees? I remember there was one guy that we had on the site. I think he was from Africa. I think he was from Nigeria, and he relocated to Edmonton, and it was always funny checking in with him in the middle of winter. Hey, how's the weather there in Edmonton? Oh my God, this is crazy. How can humans live in this condition? Anyway. Oh, well, that's crazy Canada for you. So I don't know. I didn't really see anything econ wise, and you can see it's a pretty light day anyway. Nothing like hugely significant. Didn't hear anybody. Interesting how you go through these rags, and I don't know where the hell I had that. I guess I'll just hit the back button. They try and oh, there you go. So they are talking about Dallas. So they kind of spin Chicago as steady economic growth. I don't know whether I would really I'd call that flatlining. But this Dallas manufacturing number, that's pretty negative. So it's fascinating how the Fed is getting what it wants out of the economy. But because of Peter Finks and all of that, the economy itself is going to suffer. But this probably the South Texas, ooh, wow, look at that, almost printed a new low, right? So I don't know whether you that looks like the Tesla chart. And actually I heard something hilarious now. Tesla is now manufacturing cars in China and is going to be shipping those cars to Canada. I don't think they'll allow the Teslas that are made in China to be shipped to the US. But any Tesla that you see on the road in Canada now is going to have been built in China. So get ready for some lithium fires. I bet you they're going to be just horrendous because from what I understand, when those things catch fire, oh my God, it's just an absolute nightmare. Anyway, we'll see what happens. So snarky comment there. Yeah, what time is it? Is that half an hour? Yeah. So didn't really see anything econ wise that would just really jumped out at me other than sort of malaise kind of stuff. Did see some, I suppose, positive data in Canada. The housing price actually has come off quite a bit here in Canada, so I suppose that's a good thing. But kind of flatlining right now. And if anything, heading into the spring and the summer, this is sort of the time when the housing industry should be strongest. And year over year, seasonal sales patterns, usually they're the strongest in the housing market in the summer. People buy houses in the summer, kind of idea. So that's about it. So it doesn't surprise me that things are kind of soft here. We've got a bunch of earnings that are going to hit. We're in sort of that quiet period now where the Fed's not really going to be mentioning anything. And of course, you've seen me talk plenty about this, so it's certainly like nothing new. I don't think that the market actually thinks that the Fed's done raising interest rates yet. So you can see euro dollar market's still pressing to new lows. These are the spot contracts. So there's nothing really changing here in this image. Unless there's some, well, I'd be surprised. I mean, I suppose because the Fed spread is as low as it is, the Fed could just take a pause here. And coming full circle, I suppose if they do take a pause, you might actually see the stock market dramatically outperform here. Anything else to report here? Like I said, it's Monday, pretty quiet. If anything, I suppose we'll finish off just the free broadcast with a comment on the corn. I really don't like the rhetoric that I'm hearing out there. Did see that they did actually, I will leave there really isn't a heck of a lot of change on this weekly chart, other than we did talk yesterday about how we were coming into key support levels. So I would imagine there's some sort of pivot around here. Does it happen before the Fed meeting or maybe after the Fed meeting? Maybe we get a dump following the Fed meeting and then we pivot back up. Tough to say. There's nothing really bullish on this chart here. And if anything, 3-bar fractals, if we went through this low on the weekly chart, which was 27,137, today's lows 27,046. So we have gone through that low. We have actually fired a weekly bearish fractal pattern. So that's not good. If anything, our whole conversation about, Brian's birthday, it's going to be a pretty tough slog here. But I really don't like the rhetoric that I'm hearing out of US regulators. It's probably a lot of FUD to get, sort of Joe Sixpack to sell their crypto at the bottom of the market. It's pretty typical. Looking at this chart, we had a bit of a bottom come in through the weekend, but a couple things that just didn't sit right with me. We had 2 Foggenbaum levels that were just below that support line late Friday. Sure enough, first thing out of the gate, first thing Monday morning, boom, they go and slam those lows. And you can see if we change this to a line chart, you can see on a clothesline basis, now we're starting to look very emmy again. I just don't see anything to get excited about here. Also did hear that somebody sold just a staggering amount of assets off of that pancake swap thing, which is, of course, Binance stuff. And I've just told Stuart, I think it's probably a good idea that we just maybe move off as much as we possibly can off of the Binance site. I mean, I certainly don't have any buy signals. You can see where the algo hopped off of that last long position. So we're very comfortable there now. And, looking at the actual algo signals, I don't have any reason to be bullish here at all. Where are we here? I mean, I'll just give you just a quick snapshot. It's not really like I'm going into too much detail here. There ain't a hell of a lot to get excited about here in this image here. It's actually kind of bleh. So, I mean, maybe we get a little bit of a cross here. I don't know, but I would actually prefer to err on the side of caution right now. And of course, we have the eclipse. I've heard lots of people talking about the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. The market loves to tank on that. Remember that FTX crap happened that time? That's over here. We've got the Fed. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does have a little bit of a rally, but once we're on the other side of this Fed, be very careful. So probably a little bit of backfilling here from this dump. Really very suspicious, these lows. I don't think there's anything to like sort of say that this is the bottom. If anything, what I think probably happens here is we have got this head and shoulders pattern kind of working here. You can see the momentum indicators are all pointing firmly down right now. So at the very best, maybe we're going to have a counter trend rally ahead of that FOMC into maybe 29,000 if we're lucky. But very, very like way too early for a guy like me to be thinking about buying. It's just, if anything, what I got to do is just cool my jets through here. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Altcoins, a little, mixed bag. You got the total. I was promised that by July, this was going to be at $7 trillion, which is way up here. And if that doesn't happen, there's a ship captain out there. I'm going to go and sink his boat, that son of a bitch, because he guaranteed us that we would be up here by July. So he's running out of time. Anyway, we got a false breakout here. That's what it kind of looks like to me. Suppose we could probably start thinking about things like reload zones against the bottom ends of ranges. Probably back down against this kilo here. It's probably a nice liquidity pool right in that area. Fog and bombs, of course. So as long as this picture looks the way that it does, I'm not really in a huge hurry to do anything. And as I said, I would actually, I don't know. I mean, hopefully my intuition's wrong. It usually is about this stuff, but I got a feeling that there's a whole bunch of Binance FUD that's about to hit the market here. So go slowly. Don't take no wooden nickels. It's kind of a mixed bag. Some ups, some down. I will say if there is going to be a narrative, I mean, I can't buy this. I know Siordi's all excited about this. There's no way in hell I could touch that there. If you want to work stink bids, you can see where reloads zones are, and a revisit of this massive double bottom, I think, would actually be appropriate here. So, if anything, I get your bids working, and over the next month or two, hopefully you get some nice treats. And I think that was sort of the theme of the tweets that I put out for the broiler chicken show yesterday. Was just sort of like, if we do dump, then consider it kind of like Brian's birthday present to you, all you guys, that it's just basically crypto going on sale, right? Remember, this is the only business when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. But I do like the idea. Dump through my birthday might set up a gift buys for all of you. So consider my birthday a gift to you. So there you go. All right. Hope you enjoyed that summary. It wasn't too long. We'll head on over to the after party and continue the conversation. If you enjoyed that presentation, I see there's like 30, 40 of you over there. Maybe hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I give you some pretty good information to use to sort of get your day going, point you in a good direction, or maybe tell you just to cool your jets. And of course, hit the notification bell and all that kind of stuff, so that when the next morning market summary video daily brief does pop up, you get notified that we're ready to go. So have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Hugs and kisses. And we'll see everybody in the after party here shortly. I think what we'll do is maybe we got the signals page back up and running. Thank you, Stuart. Hugs and kisses. And maybe we'll take a deep dive into the actual engine and see what kind of message it's telling us to expect for the coming week. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. And bye for now.